step into the world of ancient Japan, where beauty and tragedy collide with the hidden lives of female concubines. Behind the silk screens and ornate decorations lies a story of sorrow and sacrifice, one that has been shrouded in mystery for centuries. The horrors they endured are not limited to physical abuse and cruelty, but their fate was even more terrifying. Wanna hear it out? Then stay tuned. Concubines are women who lived with a man but were not considered his wife in Japanese history. Concubines were sometimes referred to as odalisques or mistresses in Japan. During the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, the shogunate military administration imposed harsh rules that prohibited samurai and other members of the nobility from engaging in concubinage. The laws limited the number of concubines a man could have based on his status and income, and also required a man to obtain permission from his wife before taking a concubine. Concubines are mainly young ladies from lower class households who were sold or given to higher ranking men as presents or prizes during the Edo period. These women are frequently trained in music, dancing, and other arts, and were expected to offer their masters companionship and sexual services. During the 250 years that the shoguns were in charge of Japan, only 2 of the 15 shoguns were the sons of the shogun's wife. All the rest were born to king's concubines. Most of the time, the shogun married a lady from a noble family in Kyoto. This was done to keep the shogun's court close to the emperor's court in Kyoto. Most Kyoto aristocrats came from the same family and weren't very strong. If the wife had kids, they usually died when they were young. Officially, the concubines came from families of high rank. All of the girls were chosen based on their rank and how pretty they were. The only people who could talk to the shogun were the nobles. So in theory, he never met anyone else. But in reality, the shogun would often find a beautiful girl among the lower ranking maids or even on the street. People used to say that a commoner who became a concubine jumped into the jeweled palanquin. Her family was always well taken care of. Behind their backs, people laughed at them and called them firefly lords because they had followed the fire in their daughter's tail. When the shogun slept with a concubine, the whole thing was carefully planned out. First, the girl had to take off all her clothes and be searched to make sure she didn't have any weapons or notes on her or in her long, beautiful hair. There were no hairpins allowed, and combs had to be checked to make sure they didn't have any sharp edges. One of the old ladies would check to see if the girl was a virgin and if it was her first time. When she and the shogun went to bed, there would be 2 ladies in waiting, one on each side, who would be wide awake. 2 more listened from behind screens not too far away to make sure the girls didn't ask for herself or her family. There's no doubt that all of this formality was hard on the shogun, just as much as it was on the concubine. Early shoguns liked to spend a lot of time in the bath, where there was only one happy, low-class girl to scrub his back. A lot of children were born to people who worked in baths. These kids were called children of the bath. In the end, the elders put an end to this, and the shogun had to bathe in the men's palace from then on. Both wives and concubines stopped being married at age 30, and a lot of their children died as well. So the king always needed new young concubines. One of the shoguns did more than the others. It was the 11th shogun Yenari, who was the grandfather of the 15-year-old boy Princess Kazu was going to marry from Kyoto. During his life, from 1773 to 1841, he had 53 children with 27 different women, but many of them died as babies or were mentally or physically disabled. There were also a lot of women who never had children and whose names are not known. With the Meiji Restoration in 1868, the government banned the legal institution of concubinage, and keeping concubines became socially unacceptable. Outside of marriage, however, some men continued to have extramarital affairs and mistresses. Concubinage is now banned in Japan, and women enjoy the same legal rights and protections as men. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey through ancient Japan's mysteries. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video on our channel.